In a world of rat and ruin, dear, you're my shelter in the glow. With your pit boy on your wrist.
Well, hey there, my little devils. Glad you keep finding your way back to the signal. I hope you all got your seat warm and ready. Last tape, our boy Nate finally set some weight down. Told Piper his story. Accepted a title he never wanted. Figured maybe, just maybe, he'd earned himself an easy stretch of road. Sugar. When has this wasteland ever handed out an easy stretch of road? Go on, think it over. My guess is your old noggin will have a pretty hard time remembering an easy wasteland day. Nah, the wasteland always seems to have something else for ya. Well, sugar, today, Nate's got one more favor to run down before he can even think about getting back to Sean. And I'll tell you right now, our boy is not thrilled about it. Tape 24 is now rolling.
November 17th, 2287, log 024, day 26. We woke up and ate a quick meal of cram, purified water, and a couple fancy lad snack cakes. Then we headed out towards Nordhagen Beach. That's the settlement Preston told me about before we left Sanctuary Hills. The one he asked me to check in on my way back to Diamond City. Except, it's not on the way. Not even close. It's east, out past the airport. Diamond City's the opposite direction entirely. So now I'm burning daylight, energy, and ammo on a detour that isn't on any route I'm actually trying to take. I keep telling myself I'll say something to Preston about that. About needing to focus on my son. But I probably won't. He isn't going to change anyway. This is just who Preston Garvey is. And I can tell him no. It took a while to get there. We had to cut through unknown territory. Parts of the outer city I've never walked before. Not since the bombs fell, anyway. Piper's a good companion, though. She's been around. Well, not like that. Don't get the wrong idea. Not what I meant by been around. I just mean she's a survivor. She's not afraid of confrontation, and is really good in a conflict. She has a quick wit that allows her to communicate well, most of the time. And when violence is needed, she doesn't hesitate. She's saved my life more than once. That's a favor I need to repay. The main routes through the wasteland are fairly safe, but one thing I've learned about this new world is things can change very rapidly. So, we didn't talk much. We needed to stay vigilant. Luckily, the majority of the trip was pretty uneventful. No raiders, no super mutants, no mercenaries. I was starting to get nervous. What was going on? The further east we traveled, the quieter things got. Until we heard an announcer over a loudspeaker. He was calling some kind of race like an old-school play-by-play guy. No shit. An old-school style race announcer blasting out to a cheering crowd. In the middle of an apocalypse. A race? I looked at Piper and she seemed just as confused as I was. We stayed low, tactical, and moved through cover. Trash bins, cars, whatever debris we could use. I'm going to go on a slight tangent here for a second. Cars. Don't hide behind cars if you're getting shot at. If the car is hit, it may catch fire, starting a process by which it will explode shortly thereafter. And that's like a mini nuke going off. Trust me on this. You do not want to be hiding behind a car that explodes. I mean, the blast will most likely kill you, but even if you survive, they leave an irradiated area for a while afterwards. And if they're close to other cars, it can and will cause a chain reaction of explosions and radiation. Avoid using them for cover if you can help it. But do take advantage of the enemy using them for cover. And shoot the car. Work smarter, not harder. As we got closer, I could see movement between a few buildings. Fast, more than once. The first thought was somebody flanking us. Then I got the scope on it. Robots. Racing robots. On a track. Turns out it's a raider operation. Triggermen walking the perimeter. Explains why nobody was worried about the noise. There used to be a horse track here, I think. Nora and I were never big gamblers, so I wouldn't know for sure. Just strange, seeing it still running. Well, kind of. We skirted around it. Wasn't looking to start a war by accident. If people out here are finding some kind of happiness, even a strange one, that's not my fight to pick. Even if they are raiders. If they're in there, they're not terrorizing some settlers just trying to survive. Unless I find out they're kidnapping people to run that track, then it becomes my fight, real quick. But for now, not my concern. Piper said she would ask around when she got back to Diamond City. She has developed a network of people she trusts for information about the wasteland. She said this would be a welcome distraction and could make for a good story for her paper. She said if she found any information that shows this is more than just a gambling operation, she would let me and Nick know. That eased my mind even further. It also made me feel pretty damn good. I've only been a part of this wasteland for 26 days, and she trusts me on the same level as Nick. Not gonna lie, that made my heart beat a little faster. We made it to the settlement around noon. Almost didn't make it at all. Something Piper called a Mirelurk hunter came up out of the water and came straight at us. This thing was tough as hell. It took both of us unloading everything we had, plus a Molotov, to put it down. Piper took the worst of it. I had to draw its attention off her. Got in close, focused the shotgun on its legs, took 2 of them off before I could finish it with fire. Shit, that was too close. I had to give her 2 stim packs before she was even stable again. Glad there was only one of those things. If there'd been more, we'd have both probably died, right there. But there wasn't, so I was able to save Piper instead of the other way around. We moved with purpose after that and arrived at the settlement a few minutes later. When I found out why we were really there, I lost it. They didn't have a problem. Not one. No ghouls, no raiders, nothing threatening them at all. What they had was a suggestion. Some empty building they thought would make a good spot for another settlement, and they wanted us to go check it out. What the actual fuck? We just walked all fucking day for them to tell us about an empty house? I could have used that time back at Forward Base Alpha working on my power armor. I could have been in Diamond City resupplying, eating a decent meal, actually sleeping in a real bed. This was lost time I should have been using to get ready for the glowing sea. Get ready for Sean. And instead, I'm standing in a stranger's yard finding out there was never an emergency at all. Just an empty house that may make a good settlement? Holy shit, was I mad. Piper saw it coming before I had a chance to open my mouth. She stepped in, took over talking to them, agreed to help. Then she turned, grabbed my hand, and just started walking. Before I knew what was happening, we were walking away, hand in hand. And that's where this all took a strange turn for me. The second she took my hand, the anger, it just left. I don't know how else to explain it. I just walked with her. We got to the far side of a bridge before she stopped, turned, and looked right at me. "Blue," she said, "people out here are asking for help for other people. Do you understand how huge that is? That's not a small thing. That means people feel safe enough to think about somebody besides themselves. You did that. You made that happen. You helped people, and word is spread. People believe in the Minutemen, They believe in you. That's not a waste of time. That's a positive change. Then she let go of my hand and started walking. I just stood there, dumbfounded. She's right, though. Out here, looking out for yourself is usually the only thing that makes any sense. And this guy was thinking about somebody else's needs instead of just his own. She's right. That's not nothing. I felt like an ass for how close I came to losing it. I could feel how red my face got, how hot my body felt, how close I was to pulling the shotgun and ending that guy. What the hell did that make me? I was on the cusp of killing a man for... what? For daring to think of somebody else? I instantly thought of Kellogg, about the coldness he displayed when he'd shot Nora. I had to be better. And if Nora... Piper wasn't there. I know I need to keep moving toward Sean. That doesn't stop being true. But there's a difference between staying focused and deciding other people's problems don't matter just because they're not mine. Preston asked. I said I'd check. And Piper is right. This is a good thing. I had to jog like an idiot to catch up to her. She never even turned around. We kept to the beach after that, out of range of that racetrack. Easy City Downs, apparently, is what it's called. Saw a sign in the distance. Picked up a distress beacon on the Pip-Boy, coming from the Revere satellite array. Overrun with super mutants. We were close enough that walking past it wasn't really an option. Not if there was a chance somebody was still alive in there. We were working out a plan when the universe decided to hand us one instead. A vertibird came in low, dropped a Brotherhood soldier right as a suicide mutant rounded the corner. I tried to get a shot off, but I was too late. Mini nuke exploded. Vertibird took heavy damage. The soldier didn't have a body left to recover. Ugly way to go. But it worked in our favor. Every mutant in the area turned toward the wreck, which meant I had the time to line up proper shots and pick them off from a clean angle while their attention was somewhere else. Only had 15 rounds of .308 left. Every shot had to count. They did. Took more than one round on a couple of the bigger ones, but neither of us took a single hit. When the vertibird finally went down for good, it landed right on the last two mutants. Array was clear. Found more .308 in an ammo can and off a couple super mutant corpses. 32 rounds. That's a real relief. Betty and I are back in business. I turned to say something to Piper and caught movement out of the corner of my eye. One of those blood bugs coming straight at us out of the ravine below. Dropped it before it reached us, but that woke up the rest of the swarm. Switched to the shotgun. Better spread, better against wings. Between Piper and me, we cleared them out in a couple minutes. Looked back at the house. Same thing happening there. Looked like a few of those giant insects had set up shop in the house. Figured a straight, fast push-in was the better call at that point because we couldn't get clean shots from distance, and there was only a handful of them anyway. It was dark by then. The house had beds already, so we decided to hold up for the night. Spent an hour or two cleaning the place out and setting up what defenses we could before trying to sleep. Dragged the dead insects to the water and tossed them in. Set up some tripwires at the doors and walked the perimeter. There was a cooking station on the property, so Piper said she would make squirrel stew. She had everything to make it in her pack. While the stew cooked, we talked for a while. She told me she's enjoying this, traveling with me. Said it feels good, making an actual difference in people's lives out here. She said, and I'm quoting her exactly, "Someone has to stand up for the little guy." I nearly choked on my water. That's Nora's line, word for word. She used to say that constantly, about anything, about anyone. I just stared at Piper for a second too long. I think it made her uncomfortable, the way I was looking at her. She turned away and said the stew was ready.
We ate in silence. The stew was delicious. I started to tell her how much I was enjoying it when she interrupted me. She said it was probably time to get some sleep and went upstairs pretty quick after that. I unrolled my sleeping bag on the ground floor. I waited until she was asleep before I started this recording. She'd probably understand if I told her. She's a journalist after all. People talking to themselves, working things out, that's probably not strange to her. Still, it feels strange to me though, talking into a recorder, talking to nobody. Maybe I'm losing it. Maybe. I need to sleep, but something tells me I've got another long night ahead. I can't seem to get my mind to quiet down enough to actually sleep. I can't stop thinking about her. But I've got to try. This is Staff Sergeant Nathaniel Campbell. Out.
Well now. Our boy went and did the thing he does, Sugar. He kept his word. He wasn't happy about it, but he helped anyway. I gotta say, I appreciated hearing him mad for once. I mean, genuinely mad. Not soldier calm, not holding it together for the recorder. Just a man who walked 2 days, almost lost the woman next to him to something with too many teeth, and found out the emergency was just somebody's daydream about real estate. A man with too little sleep and not enough patience. He didn't hold back when he recounted that moment. Told us how red his face got, how close he came to raising that shotgun at a man for nothing worse than wanting strangers to be safe. And then he told us who he thought of, right in that moment. Kellogg. Now, I want you to sit with that for a second, same as I did. Our boy, the one who helps people who need help in, who accepts reality for what it is in the moment, adjusts, and moves on. He looked at his own anger for half a heartbeat, and what he saw scared him enough to think of the coldest man he's ever known. That's not something most folks would admit. Not even to a recorder they think nobody's ever gonna hear. But here's what I noticed, Sugar. Right after that, right when things got too close to something he wasn't ready to look at, he started talking about Nora. Well, talking about Piper. He caught himself, didn't stay there long, but said Nora's name when he was talking about Piper. But here's what got me. Piper didn't argue him out of being mad, didn't lecture him, didn't even tell him he was wrong. She just took his hand and walked. And somehow, that did more than any argument could have. Sometimes that's all it takes, Sugar. Somebody just walking next to you. Not fixing you, not telling you you're wrong for feeling what you're feeling. Just walking. She took control of the conversation before Nate lost it, grabbed his hand, led him away. Then, she pointed out what he couldn't see. That out here in the wasteland, feeling safe enough to think about someone else's needs is no small thing. Nate couldn't see it. And that's something worth talking about for a spell. Y'all ever notice that you can see the same thing as someone else, but see it in an entirely different way than they do? Happens all the time, Sugar. I believe that's what leads to so many misunderstandings amongst us humans. We can be a stubborn lot. But maybe, just maybe, if we take a second to look at things from someone else's perspective, we may just have a happier life. Of course, if that other perspective's a rifle pointed at you, well, studying on their perspective would probably get you killed. So use your best judgment out there. Now, I want to reflect on something Piper said for a second. Someone has to stand up for the little guy. Nate didn't tell us Nora's whole life today. Didn't need to. He just told us she used to say something, and Piper said the same thing without knowing it. And Sugar, that hit him some kind of way. Something's a brewing between those two. But her saying what Nora used to say, Sugar, that had to be a gut punch. And then she made him squirrel stew. Look, I ain't saying the way to a man's heart is a good stew, but I ain't not saying that neither. He ended tonight's tape saying he can't stop thinking about her. Now, who do y'all think he's talking about? Whatever's happening in that man's chest right now, he's not ready to name it. Maybe he never will be, not out loud. But Sugar, names or not, something's growing in there, and it scares him near as much as it warms him. He's not losing his mind, though, honey. I'll bet that's what he's told himself, alone in the dark with that recorder. But hearing echoes of the people we've lost and the people we're getting to know, that's not madness. That's just life. You ever experienced grief? Well, honey, if you haven't, you will. Life will make sure of it. When that day comes, if it hasn't yet, write it down and grab hold of a courier. Send a letter to your old gal Dusty and tell me all about it. I promise you a couple things if you do. 1, I'll read it. I read every letter that the couriers bring my way, even the ones with spilt whiskey on them from that old drunk coot Gmail. And 2, no judgment from me. Seriously, I don't think you can tell me something I ain't already knowed or experienced. So write in, my little devils. Y'all get some rest tonight. And if your heart's confused about something or someone, don't rush it into making sense. Some things take their own sweet time getting there. Until next time, stay close to the signal. Stay alive. Stay strange. Dusty, out.
Stay close, my vault dweller. Don't roam too far from me. With you I build our paradise beneath the desert sea. Oh my Callan, you made my heart far away.
This is Garrett Klein, the one-man creative force behind the Dusty Signal podcast and the solo creator for Classic Me Studio. The Dusty Signal is a fan fiction audio drama that's set in the Fallout 4 universe. Fallout and all related properties are owned by Bethesda Game Studios, and no copyright infringement is intended. This is and always will be a free, non-commercial production. Created, written, and produced by Garrett Klein for Classic Me Studio. Voices were created using 11 Labs AI voice technology. Original song, Vaulted Heart, was created using 11 Labs music generation software. Sound design from Audio Hero, 11 Labs, and My Imagination. Genuinely thank you for listening, and I hope you're enjoying it.